State your first and last name, major, and hometown, please.
Greetings, I am Renee Mowat, a second-year public relations student from Orlando, Florida.
Okay, Renee Mowat, tell me about, you were the recent chair of the Homecoming Health Fair, and you had a special guest, special visitor come through the health fair. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, President Ammons, he came to the health fair. President Ammons came to the health fair and he spoke. He was a special guest. He spoke to the audience about the importance of health in the Black community. And then after he spoke, he took pictures with students and he signed autographs. I got a personal picture with President Ammons.
And how did that make you feel?
That made me feel like I was an important student at Florida A&M University. I felt like I mattered because the president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, he came to my event. He spoke at my event, and he took the time out of his day to take a picture with fellow Rattlers.
I am Alfred Henderson, a second-year accounting student at the University of Orlando.
Okay, so Alfred, tell me how you feel about President Ammons and his accessibility with students. How many times can you recall meeting President Ammons or seeing him around campus?
Being accessible to President Ammons, it's very feasible, but sometimes it can be constricting. I've seen President Ammons in the cafeteria dining, I've seen him at town hall meetings. It's all about the student and what the student takes to get there. Like, each journey is different to get to President Ammons.
Okay, and how would you feel if President Ammons had office hours for students to come and speak to him and maybe talk about their issues and concerns?
I would really feel, touched by President Ammons having office hours. That means, he really cares about the students. Even though I know he cares about the students, that would really say something about his character.
Hi, I'm Annalise Anisha, a second-year pre-professional pharmacy student from Mobile, Alabama.
Okay, Annalise, as a presidential ambassador and a student at Florida A&M University, talk about your encounters with President Ammons. Have you had any being a presidential ambassador?
Yes, I have. Being a presidential ambassador, I remember one instance we got invited to a presidential forum that he had on healthcare, and Dr. Ammons, I feel, is so accessible to students because some presidents wouldn't stop. He shook my hand. I had a conversation. He asked me where I was from, what my major was, just tried to get to know a little about me. So I feel that he really cares about the students.
Now, with that being said, how would you feel if President Ammons held office hours for students to come and speak to him and get to know him on a one-on-one basis?
I feel like that would be a good idea. I almost feel like he kind of does that on an outside setting, being that when he sees people, especially I went to the Royal Luncheon and he got up and he expressed how proud he was of the students on the roll court and all the ambassadors who were like Mr. and Mrs. of their respective organizations. So I feel like he kind of already does that, but I guess it would be in a more closed setting so you could get to or ask him more personal questions that you may not want to ask him outside in the open.
Hometown and major.
Sam Floyd, fourth-year business administration student from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Okay, and you can just list some of your involvements on campus.
Currently on campus, I'm involved in Omega Z chapter of Alpha Kappa Psi Professional Business Fraternity Incorporated, as well as the Beta Nu chapter of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay, and with you being a fourth-year student, I know a lot of students getting ready for graduation, they look forward to that. When you're walking across the stage, what that conversation is going to be like when they're shaking President Ammons' hands. Do you ever think about that conversation, or have you had previous encounters with President Ammons?
I've actually not once thought about that conversation. What's the rest of the question?
Had previous encounters with President Ammons before?
Oh, no. To this day, I haven't had an encounter with him person to person. Actually, one time I saw him taking a phone call outside of a trustee meeting, and I felt pretty cool just because I saw the man in the flesh. Because I feel like at FAMU, you put him on a really high pedestal. So I think that seeing him out there talking on the phone, I'm just like, wow, there's this guy that we make, seem like the president of the United States of America, right here in person. I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to miss his phone call either.
Okay, so do you feel that it's important for President Ammons to not necessarily know students on a first name basis, but to be able to go up and have that personal relationship with students and to feel comfortable speaking to them?
Yeah, I think he definitely should have that touch. Because, one thing, one of my favorite poems, one of the stanzas goes, you have to be able to walk with kings but not lose a common touch. So I think that, that's part of being a leader. You have to be able to, be at those board of trustee meetings and be the most powerful man in the room, but at the same time be able to go in the cab and not need your own, plates and forks just because you're the president. You have to be able to sit down with the people, among the people, and actually be be able to recognize the students by face and, you know, say what's up, genuinely.
To hold office hours for students, would you express these concerns to him? Would you take advantage of the opportunity of having office hours, President Ammons?
I think maybe once. I don't think I would be very impressed because I know at the end of the day his job is on a very, very macro level, not a micro level. So we can't expect him to necessarily be able to address all student concerns. People walking in his office talking about maybe a complaint about the teacher when he has to worry about the sustainability of the university in the future. So I think, I would just want to meet him, of course, and I think a lot of students would. But at the end of the day, I think that would be more of a waste of his time than,
Hello, I am Asia Johnson, a second-year broadcast journalism student from the sunny city of Pensacola, Florida.
Okay, Miss Asia, so tell me about your encounters, or maybe one encounter that you've had with President Ammons this far.
I've only actually had one personal experience with President Ammons. I met him at a basketball game. He was sitting with his wife. He was very nice and friendly, but that was the only time I've ever seen President Ammons.
But how did that make you feel, seeing your university president chilling with his wife, courtside like Beyonce and Jay-Z at a basketball game? Like, how did that make you feel, being able to speak to him at the game?
It was cool. It made him seem more like a real person because we don't get to see him outside of convocations and things like that. So it was really cool, and he was a very nice person.
Okay, and how do you feel if President Ammons was to announce to the university that he was having office hours? Like, you know how a professor says, come meet me in my office hours if you have a problem or want to talk to me. How would you feel if President Ammons had that open door policy?
I think there would be a great influx of students there because we don't get to talk to him. We don't get to have that sit down opportunity with him. So I think that would be great for the university. Very beneficial.
My name is Joshua Alexander Parson. I'm a freshman psychology student from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay, so Joshua, you being a freshman, your first year student at Florida A&M, what are your thoughts on President Ammons and his accessibility to the student body?
Well, I've seen him on campus around like 5 or 6 times, like just walking around. And to be a president, of a college, that's kind of good, to see him that many times just walking around campus. But as far as like going to meet him like during his office hours, or like going to actually getting to meet him, I have not been forth to actually.
Okay, so you are newly elected president or vice president of your freshman class. What are your thoughts on you being able to voice the opinions of your class to President Ammons and the freshman needs of the student body? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Sometimes you try and get things done around campus and try and talk to people that are here, and then sometimes they just don't want to work. And I think it would be a very good idea to have office hours where we would come and actually sit down with him, just to get to the head. When people not getting it done under him, we can go to the head of the beast and try and get things actually handled.